Some of you were asking about the new art. Reminder, we are in an art gallery. The Art Guild takes members every year. I think it's like $75 for an actual full year membership. And this art show is for members only. So people who are members of the Art Guild have their art on display, and it was actually juried. So there is a first, second, and maybe a third place. First place is behind me. I'll just give you a cheater. There's a blue ribbon there. So if you want to take a look at that, it's pretty cool. Next year, it could be one of you. Just letting you know. The Fine Art Fair also is coming up. I'd be remiss not to mention that. It's the Art Guild's biggest, hugest thing. It's their largest, I think, sustainability process. So every year the Fine Art Fair is on the riverfront, and it's fantastic. It's going to be the end of September, like the 25th and 26th or something like that. So make sure you buy a ticket and go to that, so that we can continue to have an art guild. Next week we will not be here, speaking of which. We will not be having 1 million cups. We will be going to, or I will be going to, and you all are invited to come to Peoria Next Innovation Center for a business resources exposition brought to you by the state of Illinois. So if you all get out your little calendar, your digital calendars, and make a note to yourself not to come here.
Is it the same time?
It's from 8 to 10. Yes. If you do come here and you run into someone, do yourselves a favor, go have a coffee, hang out, enjoy your Wednesday morning. I won't be here. I'm wearing a new deodorant today. Can you tell? Am I acting different? The last winner of Keystart and one of the members of the Nest, his name is John Cowan. We did a Beards and Beards thing too. You were there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. He just is rolling out a new product. Decided that deodorant is made in plastic. You buy it in the store, and there's like all the plastic. He doesn't like plastic, and that's fine. Some of the people in our generation are sort of raging against plastic. So he put it in a cardboard little cylinder. It looks like a push pop. And you guys remember that from the ice cream man who did the orange push pops? It looks exactly like that, only it's not edible. So it's a new deal. So if you and I have a close conversation later, make notes and tell me if it's going well or if it's not. So I'm beta testing deodorant, first time. Tell me what you think. Pretty exciting though to have a startup company who's creating new products, and we'll hear about a new thing in just a minute. Keystart application is Friday. We have like 6 or 5 of them, but there are room for more. So if you're thinking about doing it, just do it. That's for a $5,000 investment, and I think that's all I have to tell you before I mention that you're going to be hearing today from a couple of guys who were wanting to, well, I'll let you tell them, but it was something that didn't exist, and so they decided to create it, right? That's the true definition of entrepreneur, I think, maybe. So we're going to have Scott and John from Illinois Prep Scores and more. They got their hands in a lot of stuff, I know that. They've been here several times, so please welcome from Illinois Prep Scores and more, John Ingalls and Scott Leathers.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning. Morning.
Thank you, Randon, and thanks for having us, everyone. I'm John Ingalls, and this is Scott Leathers, and together we are the owners and co-developers of Illinois Prep Scores. Now, Illinois Prep Scores is basically a mobile app and with a companion website that allows users to have like a social media experience that allows them to update their team's scores all around the state live, all while communicating with other fans around the state in real time. Now, to football fans, when it's Friday and it is fall, it's high school football time. I don't know how many high school football fans are here? Anyone? We got a few. And how many of you have been to a high school football game? Okay, many more. So even if you're not a fan, you've had the ability to go to these games. I want to paint a picture of the fans that are in the stands, because really the reason that this app is going to work for them is their need for live scores. And that need for live scores is driven by their passion and their dedication and their ownership that they feel towards all these teams, whether it's because they have kids in the game, whether it's cheerleaders, whether they were a player at some point in their past. All of these things lead to this crazy passion that fills the stadium and causes them to have this need for live scores, in our opinion. Now, in order to get live scores up to this point, before Illinois Prep Scores, there were many medias that allowed you to do that. There's Facebook, there's Twitter, there is instant messaging. So if you're at a game and you're wanting to know how your rival's doing, there's no way for you to actually get that score other than texting somebody. So you text somebody and someone else texts you, hey, how's Metamora doing? Hey, how's Washington doing? All these things, you're going back and forth, and what that all does in the end is basically takes away from the game. You're unable to watch your game. So what we came up with, there were three of us at one time, and the three of us came together and said, there's got to be a better way to get these scores. There has to be. So let's see if we can come up with a way. And year one, we really did it just for ourselves. We introduced a couple conferences here locally, Mid-Illini and the Mid-State 6. At the time was Mid-State 6. And so we created this app that allowed us and other people to update the score. We put in all of the entire schedule for all the teams in those conferences, and then started promoting the app and starting sharing it with people so that they could actually update the score in real time. Now with the game score, with the being able to score the games, we have time update, score update, ball possession,
status of the game. Yeah.
In addition to that, we introduced a way for people to communicate with each other beyond just the score. So we created a chat room within each game that's in the app. So now you can actually do play-by-play, or you can say, hey Nate, you at the game? Yeah, I'm here. I'm over on the 50-yard line. Okay, oh cool. Hey, who scored that last touchdown? Oh, Joe did. Okay, number 55. Oh, cool. So we generated this, and in the beginning, it was difficult because the popularity of it grew faster than what we thought it would, which was a good thing for startups, right? But I mean, really, we were just doing this as a play on whether we could do it. And so what we found ourselves trying to do initially was actually adding teams as people were requesting their team to be added. And then we would add their entire schedule. So every week we'd get requests, hey, can you add our team? We'll score it. Because we were really wanting to only include teams that had scorers updating the games, because we didn't want empty scores. The problem with that is that we weren't getting enough interest. All the complaints were, well, my team's not in it. I'm not here. Why can't I score my team? So year one was a learning lesson for us. And year two, we decided to actually take it upon ourselves to include the entire state of Illinois. And so we get the entire schedule from IHSA, and every single game for every single team is in this app. And now it's become pretty big. I mean, last weekend, we've gotten to the point where we have 8,000 downloads overall. We have approximately 4,400 or so registered users. On a weekly basis, we have anywhere from, I'd say about half of those users actually participating and updating scores each week. And as far as the stats, as far as updating scores, you probably want, I mean, how many games actually get updated? Well, last weekend, we had, what was it?
207 out of 280 games were updated.
So
yeah.
I think that's a pretty good stat. Our biggest deficit right now is in Chicago area. I suppose Chicago area, they don't know about us, number one, and they have a lot of other means for getting some sort of score for their teams, even on a conference level. But especially our biggest supporters are the small schools. in rural areas because they just don't have any other means to get scores of their rivals. And like, I don't know if you've been to these football games, some of you have, and there's this excitement that gets built, and building upon that excitement is knowing how your rival's doing. So because of the fan base and how dedicated these fans are to their teams, we think that having a crowdsourcing style model actually works for this type of thing. So I rambled on a little bit, and I might pass my 5 minutes there, Randon. I'm good? Okay. So I want to open it up to questions that any of you may have at this point. And I guess that's it. I mean, yeah.
So is this the scores? So I'm looking at a team on here right now.
Yes.
So you have 8,001. Downloads.
Yeah. Sweet.
But,
Oh, for that, here you go. Here you go. There you go. We got a football for you. Right on.
But so I'm looking at this, and
Yeah.
you said that this is all user driven.
Yes.
How do you control the accuracy?
The bad scores.
Yeah, exactly.
And occasionally we get bad scores, and occasionally a game doesn't get finalized. But it's surprising how dedicated some people are to not only football itself and their conference and their team, but they're dedicated to making sure the right information is out there. And we've seen a few bad scores go in, and literally we'll go, oh my gosh, there's a bad score here. We better go in and fix that, and someone jumps right in and fixes it before we do.
Yeah, for example, I mean, we were meeting this past Saturday and looking at a game, and we're like, that wasn't the score of the game. And literally, John had that score. I pulled my phone out and looked, and it had been corrected. So there are people watching it like a hawk.
At this point, we really rely on it. I mean, there are other methods for doing that. We could write some logarithm that somehow
Smart
determines
scores.
whether or not the score was good or bad, or whether it's really an extreme score.
And I'm thinking like, I don't know, 'cause there's team approaching the conferences individually, or the school, maybe a team statistician or something like that, giving them access to
We-
controlling scores.
We've thought about that, and we really haven't had the means to do that, I guess, yet at this point. We've also thought about like even wireless scoreboards and transmitting scores directly to us, so it'd just be an app that would provide a feed. But taking that on would be huge for us two guys.
We'd have to
with
have some
full-time
sort of
jobs.
device that
Yeah.
would be able to do that. Yeah. So.
But it's
Yeah.
possible.
Be done.
Yeah, and that information's very valuable. I mean,
Absolutely.
That's good.
sorry.
Okay. Yes, sir.
First of all, the crowdsourcing decentralized model is awesome. I think it's phenomenal. I'm wondering if you're thinking longer term about licensing, because I'm picturing someone in Texas is probably going to come up with this at some point.
Yeah.
It's like- that's like a religion down there.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So Texas, Florida, and down there, would you consider licensing your product to different entities down there, or do you want to own that outright? Or have you
We
thought
could, we
about
could, honestly, that's why we're here. This started out as a hobby, a project. Can we do it? We're all developers, designers, and we're like, is this possible? We see a need for this. Can we come up with a solution? And I think we came up with a pretty good solution. I think it's fairly polished. The app works well. We have a pretty good following. And now it's at the point where, okay, are we going to go beyond this, or is this just going to eventually peter out? Because as technology evolves, eventually this won't be necessary. It could be years down the road, but eventually, I mean, as fast as technology is going. But yes, we've considered doing that.
We've also considered like a ticker style thing that we could project on the television at a bar, a local bar, and it would provide scores for the conferences, like an ESPN style ticker, and several other things we've thought about.
Yeah. And
But
there
it's
are
just-
other competitors out there. There's one big one out there that does this same thing, that started about the same time as us, and they've expanded.
Well, they've recently received $2 million from an angel investor. But their app is not, we've tried using it, and honestly, it works for the whole country, and it does all sports. And it's kind of clumsy, and it doesn't work as well as what we provided. You have to actually enter the games.
Yeah.
into their app.
The games are
They're
not already, there's
provided.
no schedules included.
And that's one of the advantages I think that we have over some of the other apps out there. We've never found one that actually provides the schedule for every team, at least in the state of Illinois.
And I think that's our advantage. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
go. Yeah.
Switching back local to Illinois.
Yeah.
Have you thought about or have you pursued some sort of co-branding or endorsement from IHSA?
We have made contact with them, and we have not heard back from them yet. We've heard that one person we need to contact there is retiring at the end of the year, so they're kind of in a transition period right now. So we're hoping to hear from them in the next week or so. Yeah, because I think that would be a big help for us too. Because they certainly have a deficit when it comes to live scores on their site too. Yes. Oh,
How
and
much
here
is
you
the
go.
app?
It's free.
What does it cost? It's a free app?
It's free.
app.
Free app, and in order to do score updates, participate in the chat room, to add rosters, and to create favorites list for you to follow, is that account's free also.
You just
And then
create
do
an
you have
account.
membership dues or fees
Nothing.
for someone?
It is completely free at this
So
point.
how are you making any money?
We
We
are
are
not.
not.
And what are your plans for that?
That is a good question.
That's part of why we're here also.
Yeah.
So it sounds
So-
like Joe brought up licensing.
Yes.
And we've tried the 99-cent model. When we first started, we were selling the app for 99 cents, and we heard nothing but complaints.
Oh my gosh.
People do not want to pay a buck for an app, even if they want the app. We've had Android users that would download the app, return it in the 2-hour time frame,
Yeah.
download it
So they didn't
again,
have to
and
pay
use
the
it.
99 cents.
It's ridiculous, I know, but
Just like
It's for that 99 cents too.
yes,
$50.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, our thought was, if we can at least cover our costs,
Yeah.
we're cool. Because again, like I said, this started out as like just a project.
I think advertising is going to be the key for you.
It is.
And we've had offers from users, we'll pay $5 for this, we'll pay
Yeah.
$10 for this, and we just tell them to keep their money at this
What
point.
do families like to do after games on Friday?
yeah.
They like to go out and meet, approach restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
So that you're not having to go through each restaurant individually, like at a Bonnie's or something like that. Go to a distributor and say, hey, that's part of what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Oh, here you go. Thank you for the question. All right. Any other questions? Anyone?
What can we do to help you guys succeed?
Oh, whoa, oh my gosh. You jumped way ahead. Oh my God. Do you see how he just stepped in on you? Randon, I don't think you're not needed any longer.
Yeah, blow the whistle.
Oh my gosh. Yes, so,
15-yarder.
yeah, that's right. So-
You're thinking about making money off this thing.
Mm-hmm.
You also you both mentioned that you have full-time jobs.
We
Is
do.
that something that's hindering you, or is this is like, it's taking too much of your life already, so?
Oh, a full-time job obviously does hinder us because not only from a time standpoint of how much time we have available to spend on the app, but if we're going to go out and try to get advertisers and communicate with people, we're working while they're working. So now that communication line has to happen after hours or on the weekends. Otherwise, we're taking time off, and
Yeah.
that does hinder us. You're right. And I guess that's where we're kind of stuck at this point. Where do we go from here? How can we expand it? And can we get it to a point where we can actually do our own thing and take this in
Plus,
another
we're
direction?
developers, we're not marketing, we're not sales. I mean, we do this for a living. Not this app, but this is what we do.
Yeah.
So,
But you have 8,000 users, and that's valuable. That's 16,000 eyeballs. People pay a lot of money for eyeballs
Yeah.
these days.
yeah.
Are most of those in a certain area? So like sorry, I didn't mean to
No, you-
jet
No,
in.
that's fine.
So out of those 8,000 users, what percentage of that is in the Peoria and surrounding area?
I don't know the percentage, but I mean, we can watch the real-time stats as the app's being used, and it's all over Illinois. In fact, it's
All over the country.
all over the country
And the
and
world.
even the world, because there are armed forces, ex-players that
Right.
are in the Army, Navy, whatever, and they are watching us from wherever they may be
It's
stationed.
pretty cool to watch
It
Google
is.
Analytics pop up, and it's popping up everywhere. So.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like local, for example, to starting. So I'm thinking a Richwoods game,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I'm thinking a couple of restaurants that are right around there who would love to blast out to all the people at the Richwoods that have this app. If you had statistically of how many people at this game were watching this app, come right over after the game and get $5 off. You know, would like you said, would pay for that, and it might not necessarily be the direction that you're initially going, but it helps cover the cost to grow, to pay for more,
Sure.
More growth.
you know.
Sure. I mean, we have location of all of the stadiums. So with that, we could do we've talked about some sort of targeted marketing. We find somebody, let's say a bar or restaurant, that when you get to that game, an ad pops up that is for a local business. So we've talked about all those things, and there's a lot of directions to go.
Right.
So we just need to figure out, sorry. You guys are battling.
I've already asked.
Yeah.
You guys end up expanding outside of Illinois. How does the
You're right. We've talked about
Yeah.
that too. I mean, we've talked about prep scores. I don't know if that
We
would
talked
work out
about
for us or
branding
not.
an app for each state.
We did
And
talk about that
like even
also.
just one app, and when you start, it would have maybe a couple questions to determine your location, and then it would brand the app for you. But name-wise,
Obviously, it has to change. We're going to go outside
Yeah.
of the state of Illinois. So, here you go. Thank you.
we talked about
Yeah.
prep scores, though.
Have you looked into trademarking prep scores? Is that
Trademarking prep scores? We have not.
No, we haven't.
something a person can do for $200 or whatever it is? I would do that. Then you could throw it in state up in front of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Or sell
Good idea.
franchise.
Yeah,
Right?
Or each state is independently owned, you know.
yeah.
You just don't know yet what direction you're going, and so to protect that asset.
Okay,
Okay.
that's, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good idea.
Jake? Yeah.
Have you thought about some sort of portal or some sort of way for maybe recruiters to interact with this information? I'm just trying to think of possible other.
Of recruiters?
Revenue streams. So I know there's professional companies that actually help colleges to recruit. Is there
Yes.
a way for that to tie into this?
We could, but there are several other things out there like Huddle.
Yeah.
There's several other means for them to get live video, to view video footage of games for doing studies and having recruiter type.
I do know several
access.
recruiters have signed up for accounts, and I believe they use the app, but I don't know how we would tie it in with,
individual players on the field and how that would work. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Offering something more.
yeah.
yeah.
And-
I mean, that's certainly an option, but I just don't know how we would do that at this point.
Well,
Bookies, hey,
yeah.
hey, on high school sports,
Yeah,
Or the kids, I mean, the football.
Do it on college ball.
yeah,
yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
yeah. And it's crazy the amount of excitement and I don't know, around high school football.
Yeah,
And some of the
it is.
fans they are hardcore fans. And
Oh, do you have a kid playing?
Yeah.
No.
yeah,
Did you play here? No.
yeah,
Got an app for you. You gotta check this out.
Yeah.
Update some scores for us, you know.
it's pretty
Yeah, you got a question?
intense.
Another revenue option. High school football coaches still to this day will travel 30 miles, 100 miles to get film. Have you thought of somehow tying in like a film option where coaches can buy another app for $10 for a season where they'll just get film tied in so they don't have to go to
Or wherever to get it. Yeah. At this point, really, there is. It's called Huddle. HUDL. I
And
think
the
is how
schools
you
will
pronounce it.
actually pay for Huddle, and they upload their film to that app.
So-
It's pretty.
Yeah, there's no way we could compete with that type of thing. I mean, they're well established.
We
They've
have
been around
talked
for a
about
while.
having streaming video of the games in the app itself, like using maybe even a GoPro or something. I don't know, some sort of camera that would hook up and they could actually stream. And then we could have another way and allow for photos, people to upload photos and do different things for. I don't know. We've talked about all that sort of thing, but Huddle's pretty hard to beat when it comes to video.
Yeah, so we're really not going to be.
But Huddle only works for the coaches, for the players that have a login. And Huddle's pretty expensive. I think they charge anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 a month
Yeah.
for a school.
But in relationship to your question, definitely Huddle is well established. There's no way we could compete with that at this point. I mean, really, the essence of this app is to share live scores during game time. And I think it does that pretty well. So here you go. Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
User experience stops after the game.
Well, it doesn't have to. There's a live chat room, but
Standings.
oftentimes after the game, it kind of does stop at that point.
For some reason, I was thinking of like people on the app can vote on the player of the game. Or
Yeah.
just different things like that to keep people interactive.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Continue it afterwards. Yeah.
I'm looking at,
Yeah.
last week's
There you
game.
go.
There's a lot of
Oh, you got one. Now you got
Yeah,
two. How
that
about
happens.
All right.
The smack talk happens.
What's going on here?
talk in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For donations at the end of the game.
Yeah. We've thought about that, but
I don't know. It almost seems we don't necessarily want to be beggars about it. I mean, we just want, we want to be able to continue this. And you asked what you guys could do for us. I mean, really, we're looking for ideas on how we can get this to a point where we can expand wider within the state, especially up into the Chicago area,
Or nationwide.
and then go nationwide. So.
There's something else you can upsell them once they're like right after the game or during the game or however it could work technically. While they're excited, while they're engaged, find some way to upsell something. I'm not sure what that would be. But something you can deliver to them that they would find valuable.
That is possible.
I would imagine the most traffic is on Friday nights.
yeah.
It's huge spikes on Friday
Oh,
night.
huge.
So on Saturdays, Sundays, I guess Mondays, you could team with like a local newspaper or something, get previews of the games. I guess that might be later on in the week too, but that could be a kind of another revenue source of promoting their newspaper,
Oh, yeah.
Just having the Sherrard and the Rockridge newspapers do both of the previews, and that way people can read kind of different opinions and get more people to look at the app, not just on Fridays.
Right.
Yeah. And I will say this year, we've had more views even on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, then it starts to drop through the middle of the week, and it'll pick up on Thursday again. So I think it's probably due to the standings and just people looking at other teams around, in their general area for playoffs and all kinds of different things, I guess.
Part of the reason we've contacted IHSA too, we'd like to have some sort of arrangement with them or partnership with them where we can supply the live scores to them, even though they may or may not be 100% accurate. They're going to be pretty darn close, and usually those get fixed really quick. And then their part of it is that they could help promote the app and give us final scores so that we know that the final scores that are in the app come Monday morning, Tuesday morning are accurate. So when you go back in the schedule, and then when we run the standings are all accurate also. So.
Because if you're missing a team or two, it really messes up the standings that we generate. I mean, the conference standings would not be correct, and then you'd be surprised the amount of people that will complain, even though it's free, and we tell them we're two guys working full-time jobs. I think they think we're a corporation a lot of times.
I
So
think they are, yeah. And I think that comes from the fact that the app itself looks fairly polished. And so when people think it, I think they're thinking that there's some company somewhere running this app, and it's really not. So,
That's a good thing.
yeah.
I would think as far as the revenue stream, advertising is probably the way to go. Advertisements on it. If you say you already had some people approach you saying that you're willing to pay to be on
This is individual users have approached us and said, hey, we're willing to donate money to this. This is really cool. We don't want to see it go away because we use it, especially like I said, in rural America, down south, west, anywhere outside of the Chicago suburbs, there's a huge market for it.
Then you should jump on that. Like seriously, if that's where your start is, like if you got someone down in rural saying, I want to donate some money to help you out, then you say, let's meet. Let's start here, where someone's willing to pitch in some money and help you out, because that's where you can expand from, and you can focus on that rural, which seems to be your
That's where we that's where we get the support, really. I mean, the
We do.
updates are pretty regular. It's good. So
Don't deny that because they're passionate about it, so just saying.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
can help you.
Yeah.
I would think though in those like rural areas, first of all, you're not gonna be able to stream video because
No.
it's so far away from everything else. So that might be out. Second of all, does everybody that's at the football game already go to the same one or two places after the game? So what does the one or two place have an incentive to advertise with you? So that's something to think about. If that's your like customer base, those people who are in Sherrard or Rock
Yeah.
Ford City or
Yeah,
you
they're-
know like what's something like I'm
You-
trying to
you-
think of what's
you-
more creative.
Yeah, you've got Orangeville, you've got St.
Yeah.
Joe's,
There's all kinds of them that I've
there's
never
rural
even heard of.
everywhere, you know,
Yeah.
so.
Arcola's big. We have a lot of support around the Peoria area just because that's where we started. Mid-States Mid-Illini Conference updates are regular. It's pretty cool to see the updates come on
Yeah,
that.
it's great. I
so.
mean, it's a great solution, especially for the people who have to drive 45 minutes to go to their Friday night game.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they can keep track of the rivals.
Yeah.
Which is,
Well, and there's a lot of people that just can't make it to the game on Friday night, but they really want to know what's going, and they don't want to wait till the news or dig through some forum or Facebook posts to find it, especially if they're out doing something. So,
I've got a question. I had a question back there first. Sorry.
This is only football, correct?
Only football right now. Yes.
High school basketball. and
Yes,
football.
other sports, we've talked about other sports. Again, it's going to take quite a bit more development to do those other sports because with football, we have a set schedule. And when it comes to playoffs, we know every single week what the game matchups are going to be. But with, say, basketball, you have holiday tournaments. We're going to have to develop some sort of method for users to actually create the games. We can't include every single game throughout the season, so now we have to have an admin for them to create the games. And we've just never taken that step because this was enough for us to manage at this point. But that is an option, but we definitely have to come up with a way to do that. Yeah.
Well, didn't you also say the niche or whatever you want to call it of having this be just high school football makes it less clunky than some of the other apps that are out
Yes.
there?
It definitely
Having
does.
That stuff might
Yeah.
not be as user friendly.
I think
Yeah.
what we need to do is create a separate app maybe that would support basketball, soccer. We've talked about even chess, I think, and some of the others, all kinds of different.
You'd be surprised. I mean, chess has a following, I'm telling you.
and,
I don't know how you'd update the score on that, but
Yeah.
I mean, there is a following, so, yeah.
How'd you guys get to 8,000 users?
word of mouth,
Word of mouth, yeah.
social media.
Social media, Facebook, Twitter. We did do some radio advertising in year one. We don't really think that gave us too much publicity. That was really hit and miss, and it was a lot of money spent for nothing. But we try to promote it ourselves via social media.
And we go to games around the area and we'll promote it that way. Although we found that that's hard as well because a lot of people don't want to be bothered when they're sitting at the game. Or they'll ask you for a score, and if you try and tell them, well, we have this app, they'll just blow you off. Or they think you're trying to sell something to them.
When
At
we
that
personally
particular
approach
time.
people.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I'll go to a game and I'll sit in the visiting crowd of someone I don't know, and I'll bring up the app and hold it awkwardly out in front of me and start updating scores and look at the scores, and eventually someone will approach me. And when they approach me, then they're much more open to that, and then I can talk to them about the app. So, yeah.
And I always found, oh, go ahead.
Have you looked at athletic departments throughout the schools and supporting that, and maybe it's a 50-50 split, you're generating money for them? But you have all the kids from school pushing and selling this program. If it's
Like a
generating
fundraiser
Yeah.
type thing for the school.
because they
We-
do all kinds of things.
We have talked about that too. I mean, all of these things just take time. And what we have to decide is, do we want to focus on this full time and take this forward? Is this a model? Do we have something here that we could do something with beyond a part-time hobby outside of work, a full-time job? And so we're really trying to determine that at this point. Oh, yes.
Think about a T-shirt that's branded in drug stores and have a QR code on your back, so people could actually scan your back and get the app.
Oh, didn't think of that. Nice.
We did have
Oh.
T-shirts at one
Say,
point.
Get live scores.
Yeah.
Get your
Now,
scores
but
here.
scan
Oh,
this and get
nice. A
live scores.
QR code on your back.
That's
Oh, that definitely deserves an app, right? Oh my gosh, touchdown. That right there. There's no flag on the play.
What he was saying, you keep going back to the rules, so that school probably, their athletic department could probably use a couple $100. And that'd be a lot of money for them. So you say, let us advertise at your football game to get everybody in the stadium to download this app, and we'll do it for a couple $100. You know, it's an investment on your part, but it's a cheap way to marketing and to get everybody in that stadium. And you just start there, right? And
Yeah.
that.
Well, I even thought about, like, what if you sell like 50/50 tickets through the app? Is that something that fans would buy?
What's that?
50/50 tickets.
Students generally, what are your
Parents,
demographics?
it's what, about 30?
Our demographics is pretty much the parents.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about
Ex-players.
30 to 45-year-olds is really our big, I mean, people in the stands.
There
So it's-
are kids on the team that watch it though as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
That's 50/50.
The 50/50 thing I thought about, and we could add even credit cards to the app and allow them to purchase for this particular game. But then,
Keep it chunk.
and then people could buy tickets from home even.
Right.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know,
And just
it's
target
ideas.
that rural area. I mean, you really just focus on that target since that's where people are excited about it. That's, you know, trying to, think big, start small. So start where the people are interested and expand out. Because if you start trying to see beyond that, it becomes crazy. So you gotta stay focused until you can expand beyond that.
I like your excitement about
Yeah.
this.
It's exciting. It's a good idea, in theory,
Yeah, yeah.
so.
And I think the fan base can help carry it too, so we'll see. You had a question. Do you still have one? Oh, someone still, here you go. That's all right. You're scoring.
We are going to give these to cheerleaders in the,
Yeah,
to several different schools to throw out at the games too, to try and
we currently have a contest on our
What's that?
Facebook page.
QR code on them.
Yeah, we
People
should have
post
done that maybe.
Images
Yeah.
from the game and let us know what actual team they're posting from, and we'll count up the tally and we send these to the cheer squad of the team that had the most votes, had the most support. We're trying to do things like that, so.
Just a
Yes.
tiny suggestion.
Yes.
Get the website name much bigger.
Well, that's all the bigger could be on this.
Okay.
We're limited, so we can get bigger footballs, but everyone loves these little squeezy balls. It's a pressure thing, so. Yeah, it's a little small on there. Yeah, thank you.
You could
Okay.
sponsor a halftime program.
Yeah,
That would be a way to get users, and the more users you have, I think the more maybe investors might be interested in talking to and leveraging that user base to make money. So
think
even
we-
if all the ideas we have right now are no good, or you can't execute them because you don't have time, more users you have, maybe if you only have X amount of hours in your week, concentrate on getting more users.
that's kind of what we've been trying to do.
8,000 is nothing to shake a stick at. That 50/50 tickets idea, I think, is real smart. You can leverage the schools and say, hey, you'll get a chunk of every little
Yeah.
thing.
And people can, I mean, then you don't have to necessarily be at the game.
Oh, you can participate in the 50-50 without even being at the game.
Yeah, and it'd be fairly easy to implement something like that. So, we'll have to talk about that.
We'll see what the state says about it. We'll see what the state
Yeah,
says
I'm
about
sure.
that.
Just cut them in, and they'll be like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
We get a nickel for every.
Everybody gets a piece of
I like the player of the week too. I think we've talked about that in the past.
Yeah.
Name a player of the week, cheer for your team, like vote for your team, things. I don't know. Just trying to get people involved.
player of the week sponsored by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever business,
Yeah.
whatever restaurant or volunteers.
For each team. That'd be good.
That's really
Yeah.
All you need is one place in each team area.
Then I think we'd need to talk to somebody about even, I mean, because
Are you guys writing all this down?
We don't have to. I was just gonna say, you know what's really nice about this is I don't have to take notes right now. Right. So,
yeah.
All right, yes.
Well, what can we do?
Well, you've done quite a bit with all your suggestions already, but definitely would like to maybe talk to some of you after this to see, to get some good concrete ideas down that would be manageable for us to move this forward. So that's it, yeah.
Thanks, guys. This was fun.
Okay,
And
thank
spread
you.
the word.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Tell everyone to download your app.
Yeah.
Oh,
Spread
yes.
the word.
Hey, download
Yeah.
our app. It's really cool.
It's free.
And it's free. Right. Thank you.
Thanks.